Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at a deck I've been really meaning to cover but just not found the right build until now, and that is Greninja EX with the Dusknoir package. I've also thrown in a bit of Attacker as well in case we run into any, Gardevoir and stuff like that, and also Terrabox, because Terrabox could also be pretty tough for us, but at least we have a way around it. So as per usual, in the description below there's going to be usual links, double the deck list, which is also available in the description below. There's the games that we'll play, and of course the outro and what we think of the deck. Well, what I think of the deck, you know what I mean. It's first thing in the morning, so my brain's like, huh? But anyway. So obviously yesterday we got completely bodied by a Greninja EX, well I say yesterday, 2 days ago, when we did the Persian Terrabox. We got absolutely bodied by a Greninja Frostlass deck, which I may try and do a version of it, the one that we met and things like that. It could be a pretty spicy, deck to take a look at, to be brutally honest. But obviously today we could just be focusing on Greninja EX with a Dusknoir package and also an extra package added in. But of course Greninja EX has 2 attacks, one of which is of course Shinobi Blade for just 1 water energy. It does 170 damage, and then we can search our deck for any card and put it into a hand, shuffle a deck. Then of course we have Mirage Barrage for a water and 2 colorless, and of course we discard 2 energy from the Pokemon. Spoiler alert, highly likely to be an Ignition energy. And of course we can discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance for a bench Pokemon. Now of course, if the opponent has an active Kang, we are playing a Premium Power Pro, so we can potentially hit 150, times it by 2 for weakness equals 300, and then we'll potentially take out something on the bench as well. Obviously, to help with our damage output and also just, spread and everything like that, we are playing a 3-2-2 line of the Dusknoir. This is a really cool attack. When I say it's an attacker, it kind of is in a way. It's just it blows itself up in the process. But of course, Dusknoir gets to put 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And of course, if you use the ability, this Pokemon is knocked out. Dusknoir is very useful for this deck, because obviously we can take out troublesome targets, we can obviously make Shinobi Blade a little bit more powerful, and also if we have the Premium Power Pro, we could potentially be hitting 330 damage thanks to Dusknoir, which normally that means, well, originally with just 170, we would barely be doing anything to some of the big 2-price Pokemon in format. But obviously now, thanks to Dusknoir plus the 1 copy of Premium Power Pro, we could potentially take out a Charizard EX in a single attack, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Of course, the other tech attacker we have in here is the Zoroark. We're playing Ignition Energy, and while I can squeeze a couple of Dark in here, so I thought, why not play a 2-2 line with the Zoroark? Originally, a viewer who left a comment a few months ago suggested that I should try this with the Zoroark, and well, it seems pretty decent and makes sense because obviously we already play Ignition Energy, and as I said, I've managed to squeeze a couple of Dark Energy in for Mind Jack, because obviously Mind Jack is a good attack as well, but obviously mainly we're going to be using it for the foul play if it comes up. And also, just because I want consistency, I'm playing a 101 line of the Pidgeot. Obviously, we're not playing Quad Candy, so this could be an issue if I just quickly show you there's 3 Candy in the list. But to be honest, since we're playing Grand Tree, there is something I'm going to talk about, which I did debate, but I cut it for a second Dark Energy. So, let's go to the deck list, and let's have a proper look. And welcome to the deck list. As I said, there isn't really a lot that I would change about this list. I think I've done a pretty okay job with it. Obviously, this isn't a deck that I'm normally used to playing, but honestly, I've been actually kind of enjoying this list, and obviously adding in the 2-2 Zorua line, or the Zoroark line, did take a bit more space, so there is definitely, consideration to cut the line down to a 1-1 line. But that's your decision, and obviously you'd want to cut a Dark Energy if you're going to do that, because you need to lean more into the Ignition Energies. So the immediate thing I'm going to say is putting in a Pidgeotto, and I don't mean increasing the line to a 2-1-2. No, what I mean is keeping it to a 1-1-1. What that means is, if you don't have your pieces prized, you still get value off of your A spec, which in this deck is Grand Tree. And obviously because we're only playing 3 candies, the likelihood of us having Rare Candy into Pidgeot is a little bit lower than, standard Greninja list, because they normally play 4 candy. But, like I said, my main focus was, obviously, getting a 2-2 Zoroark line in, you know, double Dark Energy and Energy Search, just so we have an item-based way to, you know, search a card, and obviously we can Pidgeot for the Energy Search or just an Energy in general. Obviously for consistency purposes, you want to Pidgeot for the Energy Search and then the Energy, but, you know, you get the point. But other than that, there's not really a lot I'd want to change about this list, but we'll go through it as we go along. So obviously we're playing 3 Froakies, 2 Frogadiers with the Numbing Water attack. This is the one that I recommended my opponent to play. Unlikely he's going to see the video from, you know, 2 days ago, but this is the one I was suggesting for him. Obviously it's not really, you know, like, going to come up much, but if you do get the heads flip, Paralyzes are broken. Well, let's just put it this way, it's broken. Then, of course, we have 2 copies of the Greninja EX, 3 Duskulls, 2 Dusklops, 2 Dusknoirs, 2 Zoruas, 2 Zoroarks, 1 Pidgey, 1 Pidgeot, and 1 Fez. Then for supporters, we have 4 Lillies, 2 Colress Tenacity, which grabs us an energy card. I just realised right-click. If you right-click on Limitless, it removes a card, so don't do that, what I just did there. Obviously, it searches for a Stadium card and an energy card, so it can grab Ignition, it can grab Water, it can grab Dark. And of course, it can grab Grand Tree or our Jamming Tower, depends on what we need. Pretty useful card. Then, of course, 2 Boss, 2 Hilda, which again grabs an evolution and an energy card. I just want additional ways to find my evolutions outside of Grand Tree. That's why I'm playing, you know, Tenacity, Hilda, and obviously we can find our ignitions using Hilda. We can find Waters and Darks, you know, it makes sense. I only had room in this list for 1 Iono, so there's only 1, but you probably would want to increase this. Then, of course, 4 Buddy Poffin, 3 Candies, 2 Ultra Balls, 2 Night Stretchers, 2 Super Rods. We're playing a lot of recovery because obviously we want to be recovering our Duskull line to obviously, you know, go straight back into Grand Tree with. Then, of course, 1 copy of Energy Search, 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Power Pad, 1 Premium Power Pro. I think you could actually up this to 2. Main reason for this is obviously, you know, Premium Power Pro gives us not only extra damage on Shinobi Blade, but if we're hitting the active, as I mentioned in the opening part, with, you know, Barrage, and the opponent Pokemon is fighting weak, like a Kang, for example, this means we can do 150 damage to the active, times 2 for weakness, and of course hit 300 because of that. Then, of course, we have our Ace Whip, which is Grand Tree, searchable off of the Colress, just a useful card to have. 1 Jamming Tower, this is mainly just for extra disruption. We don't play any tools ourselves, so I just figured Jamming Tower made the most sense. Then, of course, 4 Waters, 3 Ignitions, and 2 Dark. Like I said, I've just right-clicked that bloody Dark Energy now, but it's fine. My only real suggestion would be to put in a Pidgeotto, so you have a 1-1-1 line of the Pidgey, or the Pidgeotto Pidgeot. That just means you have an extra Grand Tree target. And obviously, you know, getting a Pidgeot established in this deck so far has been pretty good. But I really wanted room for a 2-1-2 line of a Pidgeot, but unfortunately, because I kind of need to play these guys, and also this, yeah, I couldn't really squeeze it in, unfortunately. If you did want to cut the Jamming Tower, I mean, it's completely fine. You know, it's not too relevant. It's mainly for, you know, the Kang Bouffalants, because obviously they can get pretty tanky. But, you know, obviously with the Premium Power Pro, you'd be hitting a solid 200 times 2 for weakness, which is 400, minus the 60, so they would technically survive the hit. But then you could just drop a Jamming Tower in their face and watch them cry as, you know, their Kang goes down to, you know, effect damage. And, yeah, that would be pretty funny to see. That's kind of why I put a Jamming Tower in the list. Otherwise, you could probably cut a Night Stretcher, because obviously one of our recovery, well, most of our recovery is going to come from Super Rod. Other than that, really, there's not a huge amount to really change. You could thicken the Dusknoir line, but we're already playing about 21 Pokemon as it is. Like I said, you could cut down the Zoroark/Zoroark line and cut a Dark Energy, so go to a 1-1-1 sort of approach, but again, Zoroark's just too valuable to this deck, so I don't think that's the correct answer. But anyway, let's get into some matches and see how we do. And welcome to the first game. We're already prepared against someone in Mewtwo rank, and we're in Goldengo rank from, obviously, you know, the version video. Perfect balancing is all I'll say. The matchmaking is being generous to this, well, to us today, which is fine. And do we want to go first? Not. I mean, we can. This deck don't really care. Like, as long as we get Grand Tree, it's not a big deal. Let's see what we get off the top. There's Zorua, but other than that, we're not really doing a lot. That's fine, though. We can drop the Grand Tree and, you know, I'd love a top deck of a Greninja myself, but it's fine. We can actually Grand Tree into a Zoroark, and obviously we can use that boss if we really have to, but, you know, I don't think that's going to be relevant. And that's a Zoroark. Okay, that's completely fine. And that is Premium Power Pro. We're probably getting donked here. There's no polite way of putting it. We are most likely getting donked. If they have a Lunatone and a Fighting Energy, we just lose. So, you know, let's Copium and pray they prize both their Lunatones. I doubt it, but yeah. They most likely have a Fighting Energy in hand, so yeah. Let's see what they do, because if they don't have it, I'll be very surprised. And if they're slow playing to be a douche, which they kind of are, yeah. But, well, that's just what happens sometimes. You get an opening hand that just doesn't give you anything. Let's go to a game 2. And welcome back to game 2. That was a very short game, but, well, that's just what happens when you brick and you don't really have anything. I kind of wish I had gone second, but to be fair, judging by the deck, I would guess that's Dengo. And that is a pretty tough matchup for us, so fingers crossed this goes a little better, because that wasn't exactly a great start, you know. But, hey, you're gonna have this with some decks, so I can't really, you know, say, like, oh, this is the best thing, you know, like, it's one of those things, like, you can only predict so much for, you know, what you're going to be facing. But if this is, judging by the sleeves, a Mega Lopunny deck, we are going to feast, because Greninja EX hits it for fighting weakness. Obviously, they can, you know, body us as well, but, well, hopefully we can, you know, put some pressure on. That's a Klefki. I'm not too worried about that, to be brutally honest. So I'm just going to bench the bird and pass. Let's see what we do. Because if it is, you know, Lopunny Dusknoir, which I suspect it is, judging by the positioning of a Duskull, this is just going to be down to who blows up a ghost first. And, well, it's going to be them, because we didn't get one established. It's not a major deal, but, you know, we will be on the back foot because of it. And obviously they can blow up a Dusclops and take out the Pidgey, but it's not a big deal. You know, like I say, we could potentially go for Lilies and get a Candy. Or if we top deck a Candy, that would be pretty nice. Top decking a Candy means we can go for Greninja EX and obviously, you know, go from there. But, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see what they do, because they're price checking right now. And, well, there is rules on price checking now, not in PCG Live. It's, well, I say not PCG Live, but you get the point. But yeah, let's see what they do. They're going to Nest Ball probably for a Latias, I would suspect. So let's see what they do there. Yep, there it is. So they can go into Ditto, thin a card. This does mean, though, that they're only getting what? Well, there's a Hilda. So they're only leaving themselves, like, one space for a Baneri, which we can't really capitalize on, because obviously we're going to need to Lilies for turn, but, you know, it's something to think about. But yeah, this is where I'd probably want the Pidgeotto in the list, just so we, you know, we have that, but still. They're threatening the Clops already. They're using Jet Energy strangely, because they don't need to. They have the Latias established. But then again, hold on, isn't it both players? Yeah, I thought so. I had to think then, so they had to Jet. That's fair enough. They're probably going to grab a Kang, but obviously that does mean they lose a Jet Energy, but I can live with that. If we can get, you know, Rare Candy into Greninja... No, they're going to go for a Badoo. Okay. Odd choice, but not the, you know, not the worst thing. It does mean our Candy's offline, but I can live with that. So let's go for the Lilies. We don't get anything, but we can go into Froakie, which is fine. Or Frogadier, sorry. Let's see if we can Numbing Water. We might as well, because we're not really doing a whole lot. Can we get a Heads Flip? We do, so that means they have to use a Jet. It also means they can't attack us, so we can, you know, go for, you know, a potential... Well, we can knock this Badoo out. They have to use a Jet to get it out the active. They can Clops and take out the Pid, or the Pidgey, but that's their choice. It means we both take a prize card, but I'm not worried about that. I can afford to lose the Pidgey. It also means they're going to put less pressure on us. There's Pal Pad, that's not really relevant. I mean, I can put back the Lilies, I guess, in case we need it, and I'll probably do that just to thin this out the deck. There's Ultra Ball. See, the reason why we're not playing the 60 HP Pidgey is because obviously this has Call for Family. It doesn't hugely matter, but obviously, you know, you can make that decision. So they're going to Ultra Ball, grab a Pidgeot, so that means they have Candy in hand. That's fine. What's their last card in hand? Is it a supporter or is it something they can use? Because obviously this next turn, we can obviously save a detachment because we don't want to use it now because we could get Ignition and we can go from there. They don't seem to be doing a lot though. Yeah, they were going for quick search now. Because like I said, I'd want to play the Pal Pad now so that we have more draw later. There's a Kang. And they're going to jet energy into the Kang. That is such a huge risk. You really don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. Because if I Shinobi Blade, that's the end of you, Chief. Oh. Okay, they're going to go back into the Bidoof. That's such a risk. Obviously, that does mean that their Kang now needs less work to actually take us out. But that's fine. So we'll just go for the Lilies. Oh, we're really not getting anything, which is bad for us. I can bench the Fez, but I think it's risky, so I'm just going to go for the Numbing Water and take out the Bidoof. They have no attackers established, so I'm not really worried. Well, the paralysis is not really relevant here, but it's fine. This does mean, though, if they leave that Kang in the active, they could regret it. Because they can't attack this turn. They simply can't. They have to get this Kang out of the active as soon as possible. Yeah, we're not really setting up much, but obviously, you know, we've been item locked, we've been having bad draws. It's just the way of the game sometimes, you know. You can't have everything, is one thing I've learned playing this game, but, well, PCG Live just seems to like doing that. But, I don't know. They're going to go for a Lilies. They only get 6 though, but obviously they do have the Kang draw as well. There's a Poffin, so they're finally going to get something established. But that does mean we can go for Mirage Barrage, because obviously that will be relevant now. Because obviously we can go for a Hilda and grab a Greninja EX plus a Ignition Energy. Which means we can snipe the Baneri and snipe the Duskull. They could put up Klefki, but that's not really going to matter. Their board state is just really poor. They've got a lot of 2 prizes. They've obviously got the 3 prizer, which we can go for. Their single prizes are easy enough for me to knock out. We should be fine here. I'm not hugely worried. The only thing I need to be worried about is a bear, but to get bear, they need to obviously soften up the Frogadier a bit more when it evolves into a Greninja. There's another Jet. So they are threatening the Kang. They're basically giving me a choice. Take out these, or take out the Kang. They're going to give me the Klefki. Don't really care about that, because Klefki doesn't bother me. It's only if I have Fez is when that bothers me. Okay, there's Boss. Obviously, we're not going to use that. We're going to go for Hilda. Grab ourselves a Greninja EX and a Ignition Energy. Go into the Greninja. Attach the Ignition Energy. I'm going to bench the Fez just in case. And we'll Mirage Barrage. Take out you and take out you. And get rid of the Ignition Energy. Not bad. I would have liked to have gotten a Froakie established. Obviously, I've not been able to price check all game. Because we've not played... Like, the only time I could have is potentially Hilda. But obviously, you know, we don't really have, you know, time to do that. They're going to go into the Kang. I need to hope they don't get a heads. Well, 2 heads. And that's assuming they also have their energy in hand for the Kang. They need to find energy. They've already used a jet. They've got 2 jets here. They only play 5 energy. So they need to attach enriching to the Kang. to potentially do something here. There's not really a lot they can do. Like, the only thing they can do is quick search for either their last jet or the enriching, put it on the Kang and hope they get double heads. And that's kind of risky. So they'll go for an Ultra Ball. They could bear the Fez, but they're not a Ninja for game, so they don't really have many options here. There's their Fez, that's fine. Did they be able to play a Charm for the Kang? Because that could be relevant, because obviously I can't kill it, but they don't know I have Boss in hand. There's Enriching. So they get the +4, they need to get double heads. And if they do, it's just how it is, but we'll see what happens. There's their Blood Moon, so Blood Moon's coming down now, and there's an Iono. These lists don't typically play that, so that definitely caught me a bit off guard. There's Dark Energy and a Rare Candy, that's not too relevant. Flippity Scrippity. They're putting all their eggs into Kang, and it may not work out for them because they need double heads, but if they get it, they get it. Let's see what happens. And Rapid Fire Combo. Come on, give me a Tails. There we go, that's game. Thanks to the Kang hitting Tails there, we win with Shinobi Blade. Excellent, that's what we like to see. The fighting weakness does come up. I don't need to search my deck for a card. We've won. I'll take that. We had some horrible prize in that game. But yeah, I'll take that. A win against Megalopony Dusknoir, and we didn't even get to pop a ghost. Who needs ghosts, apparently? Let's go to game 2. Well, when I say game 2, I mean game 3, because, well, we got donked game 1, but you know what I mean. It's something that's been a bit of a running gag on this channel. If I ever get, like, donked, or if I don't do anything in the first game, I'll just ignore its existence. But, you know, I like to show that I get donked regardless, or, like, you know, we have a bad start, because that's the whole point, you know, like, you're not always going to have favourable matchups that you want. You're not going to always have the matchup where you're like, oh, I've got this, I've got that, I've had a great game, you know, you're not always going to have great games. But that's just me being honest, and that's just how I am as a person, to be honest. However, this starting hand is horrendous. Oh, this is going to be tough. We're facing Bowl. Ooh, that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough. I did actually have an idea, just as an off point, because obviously we're looking at Bolt right now. I did actually have an idea for like a Bolt Terror Box sort of approach. I think it will be something I do post-rotation, but it is something that I'm thinking of, you know. I've been, you know, looking at it. And the whole idea is obviously, like, Bolt can obviously be like a big finisher attacker. But obviously, because you play Lightning Energy, you could play like Pika, you know, Crispins and the like. Glass Trumpet, Energy Switch, you know, that sort of thing. Well, this is not looking good now, is it? Let's go to game 4, I think. And welcome back to game 4. Well, it's rare we actually have to go to a game 4, but well, when we've had 2 brick hands, it's one of those things, like, you can only predict so much for it. Like, I can only, you know, plan for so many matches, but, you know, because of how little we've actually been able to do in 2 of the 3 games, in quotation marks, I will do a game 4, because, you know, we need to actually do something. But let's see what we get off the top. Well, that would have been nice if that was our opening hand and we was going first and we had a basic, but no. I'll take that. We can at least get something established. We're facing Dragonite. This is going to be tough. But they are a slow deck, so that's something. They do play Candy. Okay, that's fine. They are a slow deck, I know that much. Are they going first? Yes, they are. We've not even been able to use the tree this video. Hopefully we do. There's a Dynamo. That's fine. Hopefully they're playing the, what's it called? Ooh, Battle Cage Pass. Okay. That's fine. And we get double Buddy Poffin. We're going to take that. So let's go for the Froakie. Do we have the Pidgeot? We do. So I'm grabbing that Pidge. I'll do a proper price check when I do the second Poffin, don't worry. So Poffin again, grab you and you. Actually, I prize a Duskull, I know that much. Yeah, I will grab double Froakie. We're not going to use Zorua in this video, it looks like, but that's fine. Horizon doesn't look too bad. We've got the Power Pro in there as well. We've got a Dark in hand. We've got all 4 waters. I'll take that. That's completely fine. I don't really want to Iono them, but they could have the nuts, so I think I might Iono here. Because like I said, they didn't really do a lot. Their hand may be full of supporters, so I'm just going to Iono. Reset my hand, reset theirs. Why not? Oh, that is horrendous. So I am going to thin a Zorua out. I wish I'd have attacked that Dark Energy now, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. That is a horrendous Iono. How does that even make sense? Drawing into 2 Dusknoirs, 2 Greninjas, and a Super Rod? Did I even, like, you know, shuffle the deck before this video, when this game started? Deary me. I mean, they can at least evolve into an eel, but it's not going to be too relevant. I need a water. I need an energy or something. Like, I need another, you know, draw support, because apparently little Iono is going to get me nothing. We should be cleaning up this matchup. That's the annoying thing. Like, as long as we can take out the Dratinis, they can't really do a lot. But I don't know. Judging by the attachment to the Dynamo, I suspect they're playing the eel or the Mega Eel. So there's a Vessel. I'm going to get rid of a Lightning. I suspect they're playing Mega Eel. They're going to get rid of their own Iono. I'm going to grab a Water and a Lightning. That's fine. They're going to choose a new active. They're going to go into another Dynamo. Okay, sure. Not really sure what that accomplishes. Obviously, we're going to need to bounce this stadium at some point, because Battle Cage is obviously annoying for us. Well, there's Tenacity. That does get us an attack off. In fact, no, it doesn't, because we're going to have to Dusknoir, but then again, I'm fine with that. We can... Oh no, Grand Tree's prized. For God's sake. We're not having good luck today, that's for sure. I'm just going to attach to the Froakie then, and pass. That's just annoying. That's just really annoying. Because if they get that eel established, we're in a really bad spot. Because obviously they could just split Bob and take out both our Duskulls. Yeah, I'm not confident now with this matchup. I thought this was going to be a pretty easy one, but apparently not. Because we prized a bloody tree. There's Candy. And Dragonite. That's fine. What that does mean, though, is... That does mean they're not doing a lot. Which is good. Obviously, now they can set up the Dragonair, attach an energy to it, and then obviously, you know, start grabbing their evolutions. If they want to, but... Yeah, with us having Tree Prize, that's going to make things very difficult for us. We need a top deck of one of those. Can I borrow that, please, mate? Jeez. It's not even like, you know, like we're having a bad, you know, game. It's just the fact that Iono apparently draws us into some terrible draws. Did I not shuffle the deck or something? Like, bro. And it's been happening with this deck sometimes, you know, but 3 times in the same video? Like, 3 bricks? Like, come on. There's no way. And also prizing the tree, which, again, that's a low chance. But, I don't know. They're going to Dynamo to start charging up their boys, which is annoying. They can then Evolutionary Guidance if they want, but they'd probably want to do that after they get this Dynamo out of the active. I mean, they can grab it now, but still. Ooh, they've failed the Evolutionary Guidance. I think they've prized the thing. They're going to go in with a Tail Snap. Please tell me you're going to Tail Snap me. I'd laugh. I would love to see that. No, he's going to give me Fez. Fair enough. I'd have loved to have seen that myself, but anyway. With this hand, we're not really doing a lot. We're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. Finally, we get Lilies. Thank goodness for that. We don't really get a whole lot afterward, though. That's the only problem. I think... Well, then again... Is it worth blowing up a Dusk here? Then again, I can copy Cruel Arrow and take this out, but then they just charge up the Dragonite and then I'm in a bad spot. I'm tempted. I'm tempted to get rid of Zorua Premium Power Pro, grab a Duskull, or Dusclops, blow this up, and then take this out with Cruel Arrow. I think I'm going to do it. I need to do something. I can't just sit here twiddling my thumbs. So I'm going to grab the Dusclops, which we have prize one, but I can, again, live with that. We'll go into you, attach Ignition, Curse Blast, take out the Dynamo. So then that means we can promote the Zoroark with the Foul Play. And here's me saying I wasn't going to use this video, but apparently I am now, because I have no choice. Take a prize card. Not relevant. But we'll live with it. Do I want to bench this? Sure. And we'll Foul Play, take out the Dragonair. But then again, if we take this out, but then again, they're going to recharge their boys anyway, no matter what I kill. So, yeah, I'm just going to take out the Dragonair. One less Dragonite is good for me. One less Dragonite is 100% good for me. Please, Tree. Nope. I'll take the Clopster. That's fine. Oh. This matchup is testing my patience, and it's not because of the deck that I'm facing. I think that's the best move I could have done there. Yes, they can Dynamo to, you know, attack with the Mega Dragonite now, but or the Mega Eel if they have it in hand. You know, I can't really just sit here and let them do stuff, you know. I have to take action. And if they're going to go into the Mega Eel, then we'll just have to live with it, unfortunately. The fact that they whiffed, or decided to whiff the evolutionary guidance, indicates to me they may not have it. If they're going to force me to use an Ignition to... Well, then again, I could just Mind Jack and take this out if they whiff. No, they have the Eel. So we actually do need Power Pro to take that out, or a Dusclops to, you know, do that. We could actually paralyze them, but that's not going to be too relevant. I don't think we're going to get this Pidgeot established this game, which I would love to have in this matchup, but unfortunately I can't. So they're just going to go for a Split Bomb, probably take out both Ghosts, or they can take out a Pidge. They're going to take out both Ghosts, fair enough. Makes complete sense. So that means our Dusclops that we got the prizes is useless. Alright, let's see what we get. Absolutely fuck all, that's what. We can Disaster Shock and paralyze it, so I think I'm just going to do that. I think it's my best call. Disaster Shock for 190, paralyze it, even though they could just Dragonite. Why did that not paralyze? Oh, it's because Disaster Shock requires Lightning Energy to do that. I thought I could just do it because, you know, thingy. But yeah, this is looking horrible. I mean, now, this does mean if we get Greninja, we can win here. Okay, they're going to retreat. They're going to go into the Fez. Poffin. As long as they don't take out Frogadier and we top deck Greninja, no, we don't win yet. We don't win yet. But the fact that they didn't take out a Pidgey is good for us. This is tough because of the fact we've been whiffing and obviously our tree is prize. But obviously if we can get this back into the active, we can go Mirage Barrage, take out this and one of the Dratinis or the Eel. But they're going to take out Zoroark with Glide, which is very bad for us. Because obviously Dragonite doesn't give a monkeys. We need to win this turn. If we don't, that's it. We have to win this turn because they can just take us out this next turn. There's Candy. That's very good. So hold on. Don't I just go... No, I can't do that. If I attach here... Go for a quick... I have to rely on for Lilies, don't I? So I need... In fact, no. Wouldn't Hilda do it? No. Hilda doesn't do it. So I need Lilies to hit me Counter Catcher and Greninja. Which off of 6 with 29 in deck, that's a big fat risk, but we're going to go for it. That's only one piece of the puzzle, unfortunately. Yeah, we just lose here. Because I could only hit this for 120. I mean, I can take out the eels, actually, so this isn't completely over yet. I can take out the eels. So that cuts off their, you know, energy acceleration. That does cut off their energy acceleration, so that's good. And then we can Pidgeot for boss for game on the Mega. Okay, okay. I could have probably grabbed an eel or a Dusclops there, but we'll Duskull out the discard pile. But that isn't relevant right now. They cannot accelerate to this Dragonite unless they play Crispin and they have a manual attach. That's the only way they're getting this Dragonite going. And not many lists are playing Crispin. Rare Candy Dragonite, that's fine. That is completely fine. That top deck of Candy saved our bacon. So I'm going to attach there. They also could play Energy Switch, but I severely doubt it. They just need to rely on me not having boss, but obviously now that I have Pidgeot, it's guaranteed. We managed to claw this back. I don't know how. That's crazy. But taking out both eels there was just the best thing to do, and now we could just boss the Mega. That's Lillie's, so no hand disruption. Not like it matters, because obviously I have the bird established. That's crazy that we've actually won this. That is absolutely mind-boggling. And there we go. Yeah, my opponent's even annoyed at that. So we're just going to go for the Pidge. Quick search. Grab ourselves a boss's orders. Boss's orders. Bring up that eel. And Shinobi Blade the game. I am very surprised we won that. That's wild that we won that. With such a bad start, constant whiffing, and prize in the tree. Wow, I am surprised we won that matchup. I would say it's thanks to them playing the Mega Eel, but the Mega Eel wasn't relevant till the end there, and I could have just bossed Fez for game as well. But yeah, that was absolutely wild. I did not think I was going to win that game. But that just proves if you believe in something and believe in a top deck, you can win a matchup even if it looks unwinnable. But yeah, that really surprised me there. But still, that just proves the power of, you know, this deck and what it can do if it gets set up and everything. So, what did I think to the deck? I think this deck needs more work myself. It felt very clunky in a lot of cases. And as we saw in Game 4 there against Mega Dragonite, Prize in the Tree really hurt this deck. So, personally, the Zorua line actually helped quite a bit in that matchup, which I didn't expect it to do, but obviously we could you know, take out an eel and then obviously take out the Dragonair, so it was one less Dragonite to deal with. But ultimately, I think there's not a lot that really needs to change for this list. I think it just needs more consistency. I would say a fourth Candy would probably go a bit hard. Definitely add in a Pidgeotto, just so you have an extra way to get into a Pidgeot, because obviously we're only playing a thin line, because, you know, I don't really have the room for it. Other than that, really, this deck is kind of like Mega Lopunny, just without the Kangs. And, you know, maybe you could try a Kang approach. Maybe try it like Mega Lopunny with Dusknoir. That could maybe be an engine for it. You know, try it with, like, Kangs, you know, switches, Jet Energy, you know, things like that. But still have, you know, Water Energy in the list to obviously attack with the Greninja. You know, Ignition Energy to obviously still attack with Mirage Barrage a lot easier. But you know, maybe there's something more there with, like, a Kang approach, as I would call it. But, I don't know, I could just be waffling there, I could just be talking out my backside. You know, you could even play Enriching Energy, like, just play Quad Candy and just hope you draw into stuff. That could even be something. But yeah, I don't know, maybe something to think about. And obviously, with rotation, this card doesn't really lose too much. Obviously, it loses the Pidge, but every deck loses the Pidge. To be brutally honest, this deck doesn't really lose a huge amount, because obviously Energy Search gets a reprint anyway, which we didn't even use this video. Like I said, the Pidgeot obviously came in clutch in that matchup, but of course, you know, there are obviously alternative engines, and as I said, you could play a Kang approach with, you know, the enriching Jet Energy strategy, and obviously put a Latias into the list as well. That could be something. But, you know, there's a lot to think about when it comes to this deck, and I think it does have some potential. But ultimately, I think this deck just falls short of what it needs to be considered meta, in my personal opinion. But anyway, I'm going to leave you all to it for today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing Greninja EX with the Dusknoir package and the Zoroark package. and I'll see you next time.